Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. And as I start the video, I see on my little viewfinder, this is the beautiful astrological clock at Hampton Court Palace in London. Now, I am working on a volume 4 of the artwork pack. I know a lot of you have been requesting me to put up the links. Volume 4 should be ready soon, so stay tuned, and I'll put volume 1 to 3 for download when I put the new one up. So just stay tuned, it won't be long. But anyway, quick wristwatch check before we get into the video. Of course, I got the little Squally 1521. I have missed this piece. I've put it actually on the official, not sure if you could see that, but this is the official Squally NATO strap. It is very expensive, but it is extremely well made. And I hate to say it, kind of worth it, you know. If you're a true ardent Squally fan like me, sorry, I'm getting fluffed. That's the only bad thing when it's lovely to have cashmere on at this time of year, but you do attract a lot of fluff on your NATO strap. But anyway, what was I talking about? Yes, the NATO band. It is gorgeous. So, wristwatch check done. What are we talking about today? Well, of course, I am doing another video on watches under $50. However, today, instead of a rundown countdown list, I actually put my money where my mouth is. I bought some of these pieces in. We're going to review them and we're going to have a look at them in the flesh. So guys, let's roll the intro and get into today's video. And as you can see before you, this is the Michael Kors Lexington that I did a video on quite a few weeks ago now, where I suggested affordable alternatives, because this, believe it or not, is one of the most successful popular fashion watches of recent years. So much so that even my wife went out and bought one. And I really wanted to kind of understand why and offer some affordable alternatives. Now, in that video, I suggested a whole bunch of watches that cost a whole lot less. Let's just look at this watch a second. Now, a lot of you guys suggested I do a review of this watch, but to be fair, I really don't want to just spend, 15 minutes slagging off a watch because look, this is a Chinese-made quartz watch with a kind of faux date just, a little bit of Cartier thrown in there, even a little bit of Daytona with the chronograph. It's really not a well-made watch with this faux jubilee that's not even polished very nicely. There isn't really much here to write home about. But what is staggering is the price of this timepiece. This costs at retail $275. And why? Well, like most fashion watches, you're paying for that name on the dial. And I've got to say, the dial's not that bad. It's quite tastefully done. I mean, you can get this in gold, and I believe it varies slightly to the there's a version for men and a version for women. They vary slightly, but they're both roughly the same size, because it's done in that trend, that very recent fashionable trend of what's called the boyfriend watch, which is really actually quite cool. I kind of like it, and my wife often borrows my watches. However, the quality really isn't there, and I mean, just look at the second hand, it doesn't even line up. So I don't want to waste the video being all negative and snobby about a watch. What I thought I'd do, I thought I'd challenge myself. Now, we've done a video before on top 5 watches under $50, but I wanted to see if I could build a collection for the same price of this fashion watch. And, well, I pretty much succeeded. So let's see what I got for my $275. So let's put the Michael Kors to one side. So we'll start with this fantastic automatic Seiko that I recently bought off eBay, and it really was a great find because I only ended up paying $50. Now you got to be careful because there is a lot of Frankenstein watches, hodgepodge watches, especially from India for some reason. Anyway, this is the Seiko 7006-7007. Basically, it's from the 70s, as you can tell by this beautiful curved cushion retro case. But it's in remarkably good condition, and I'm really relieved to say that all the parts are original, the hands, the dial, everything is original. Now, what's great about this watch is that it actually has, as the name suggests, the 7000 series movement. This is the 7006A, which is a 17 jewel movement, made in Japan, fully automatic. There is no manual wind or hacking, but you do the Seiko shuffle, it winds very, very easily. Operates at 21,600 vibrations per hour. Not the smoothest, but guys, at $50, can we really complain? And a staggering 43-hour power reserve, which is very impressive. The best thing about this particular timepiece has got to be that dial. Just look at that beautiful sunburst dial. It looks black at some angles, but then when the light hits it just right, it has that sunburst effect. Quite dazzling. Beautiful applied markers. I've added an orange NATO strap. It just came the head of the watch. Originally, I think it did come with a stainless steel bracelet. And of course, the case is stainless steel. It's not even plated. It's solid stainless steel with a case back and everything. Now, another great thing about the 7000 series movements is not only are they built like absolute tanks and very, very robust and reliable, but they are extremely affordable to fix, and the parts are plentiful and easy to get a hold of. So you're gonna get decades and decades of wear out of this thing. So let's quickly have a wrist shot. So as you can see, it fits my little wrist perfectly because this is from the 70s and it's before that big, way before that big watch trend came in and kind of ruined a lot of watches. So the measurements are 38 millimeters wide by 41 millimeters. We got a 20 millimeter lug width, 10.5 millimeters tall, so wears very, very well. And I love the way the integrated lugs, you can still fit a NATO and a mesh bracelet. I mean, imagine this on mesh, it'd look absolutely stunning. So a really cool size. Because of the case, it looks a little bit larger, but at the same time with the curvature, fits all kinds of wrists. As I was saying about the movement, because this is the 7000 series, and you guys, if you're familiar with the SKX and of course the Seiko 5s and the 7S26 movement, you will know that the 7000 is the predecessor to those movements. Now the 7006A, which is this particular movement, was in the 70s, and then it got replaced by the 7009, which then led to the 7S26. And what they all have in common is all very, very robust, and they can go for decades without servicing. And that's pretty much why this one here is still ticking along and keeping remarkably good time. So I'm just really chuffed to bits, and I'm very really enamored with this very elegant little watch. And on top of all that, you do get the day date function. So what could be better than that? I mean, $50, absolutely unbeatable, and it's a quick set. So the 7006 had the quick set on the day and the date, which is very useful too. So that's one option. Now, what if you want to go for something a little bit more dressy? Well, another Seiko I picked up was this. Now this is a very unusual watch, as you can tell, but there's a very specific reason behind its design. Also another great find on eBay, and as you can see, it's very, very unique looking. This is actually a manual wind vintage Seiko. Again, stainless steel, and this is the 11-8060 from the early 80s, as the style suggests, with this beautiful brushed hexagonal case and then polished on the sides with these beautiful beveled edges. And it's a really fantastic little manual wind, has a really satisfying action to it, and a very, very minimalist, almost avant-garde look to it. Has a single applied marker at the 12 o'clock beautifully faceted to catch the light, and then no seconds, just hour and minutes, and then simply signed Seiko. Now this is a very specific design. This is a dress watch, or what's called a gala watch. This is something you'd wear to the opera or cocktail party, where it's you kind of want to forget time, and that's the basic concept. It's almost like, I mean, as you can see, it's fairly difficult to actually get an accurate reading of the time. It's like coming up to 1:15, I'm guessing. So it's almost like a watch that you want to forget time. It's more about jewelry, really. Now, this came with an entirely different bracelet, but the person who sold it put it on this beautiful mesh, and I think it really works, really complements. Now, I'll put a picture up of it on leather, because it also looks stunning on leather. Now, you're probably thinking this is a woman's watch, but actually it originally was a man's watch. Again, in the early 80s, smaller watches were still very much in vogue. So very, very elegant, very unique. You're not going to see anything like this again. And guys, I'm still researching this watch, so if you know anything about this 11-8060, please do tell me. I'd love to learn more. It is about 35 millimeters wide, about 27 millimeters from top to bottom, and very elegant and thin at just under 10 millimeters. There's the case back. I believe it's a snapback, stainless steel, Japan. I'm really chuffed to bits with this, and it keeps quite good time, although it's difficult obviously to judge the accuracy, but very unique, and just goes to show you what kind of timepieces you can get on eBay. And that beautiful rich black dial, glossy black dial, fantastic. Right, let's move on to something completely different, and our first Swiss watch of the lot. This is a Swatch watch, as you can see. Now, this is a modern contemporary Swatch watch from about 2012. This is a black lacquered plastic Swatch watch with a silicone band, and it has got these kind of rivets to give extra grip. It's very, very supple and comfortable. The only negative about this cheaper silicone, it does attract lint. You can already see little bits of white from my gloves. But what is stunning about this watch is that dial. Now again, similar to the watch we just looked at, it's quite difficult to read with those black hands, but it's more about being fun. It's more about its personality, its pizzazz. So it's a quartz movement, and if we turn it over, you can see the batteries there. Very easy to replace. Swiss made. It's water resistant to 3 bar. The previous two, I'm not sure on the water resistance, because these are both vintage watches. The case width is 41 millimeters, although it wears much bigger. I think it's more closer to a 42. We've got plastic crystal there. So not the most robust of watches. From top to bottom, we're looking lug to lug 47 millimeters, so quite wide. 10.5 millimeters tall. And the reference of this is SU0B101. But the reason I included this is not actually because of this particular model. It's because just the variety of really fun, playful, colorful, and interesting designs Swatch have for around about the $50 mark. I'll put a picture up, but there's just scores and tons of different options. Let's just have a quick wrist shot. So as you can see, it is a very contemporary size. I think it's actually far too big. I actually prefer the ladies options of the contemporary Swatches. So when I was growing up in the 90s, Swatch were much smaller. But at the end of the day, Swatch, you could argue, is a fashion watch, because they're very subjective to trends and fashions, and their size reflects that. So it's a shame that I think this is overly a little bit too big, but I'm probably going to give this away in a competition and get myself one of the slightly smaller models. So we don't have a date, but what is fun is when you pull the crown out to set the time, you can see the little wheels turning. And I love the way they've colored different components of the quartz movement to give it a bit of pizzazz, a bit of flair. It's very, very fun, and almost looks like a kind of abstract painting. Gorgeous. You can kind of collect these and have a lot of fun and match your outfits beautifully. Okay, moving on to the next watch, and this is a 1963 Timex. Now, as you can see, it's got a very 60s design. I mean, it makes me immediately think of Mad Men. In fact, when I had a competition, I was wearing it on my wrist, and I got the viewers to guess what it is. And most of the guesses were, you know, vintage Jaeger LeCoultre or Omega Seamaster, and it really does look like that. It has that Mad Men-esque vibe. It's all about that dial, that champagne sunburst effect. It's so rich, just spectacular, and it really plays with the light beautifully. We've got even little applied markers there, indices there, and 12 and 6 applied as well. Really nice touch. And this is the most staggering thing about this watch. I paid $30. Just astounding, really, when you think of what you're getting. It's an automatic, or as they used to say, self-wind. Timex, of course, is an American company, but this actually, from my research, was made at their Dundee plant in Scotland. And in fact, some of the Timexes from this era used to have made in Great Britain at the bottom of the dial. This one sadly hasn't, but it's quite cool to know that this was made in Great Britain, in Scotland, in Dundee of all places. The Dundee plant actually closed, I think, in the late 80s. I might be wrong about that, but I do know they outsourced all their production to the Far East. I think the Philippines is where their current factory is. But anyway, it really has a very sophisticated, elegant look for something only $30. Just astounding. It's a 34mm size, indicative of watches of that age. It's not stainless steel. We do have a stainless steel back, but the main body of the watch, the main head there, the main case is chrome plated, which was typical of watches from especially entry-level timepieces like this from that era. It has the movement number 29, which is automatic, and we have got manual wind there, and a really satisfying feel. I'll try and put a picture up of the movement. It's probably the most utilitarian, ugliest movement you will ever see, but at $30, what can you expect? However, the accuracy is not the best in the world, guys. I mean, this is from the 60s. However, it does keep time fairly well. So there's no date, just 3 hands, but beautiful, cracking little watch. Let's quickly get a wrist shot in there. So there you go. And on my wrist, it fits beautifully. Especially now, smaller watches are definitely coming back into fashion. It really is a gold mine, a sweet spot in the used market. And for something so affordable and yet so classy, we've got only a height of 11mm. And with such classic styling, it's timeless. I mean, this really is probably the most sophisticated, elegant little thing you could ever spend your $30 on. I'm over the moon with this watch, and of course I've put it on a NATO strap, but however you put this on a leather band, it will look as classy as something that costs thousands and thousands of dollars. And Timex is a great brand. I mean, you got to remember, they were founded all the way back in 1854, so great American brand. Even little applied minute track running around the outside of the dial. Beautiful domed plastic crystal there. Absolute pure class. Right, let's move on. Okay, so what is next? Well, something a little bit different and very, very retro, and actually something quite close to my heart. Now, this is the Casio A158WA-1. Now, this is very, very similar to the F91W. The only difference is, obviously, it's in a stainless steel case. Now, the bracelet, despite being very thin and cheaply made, is actually one of the most comfortable bracelets I've ever worn. And the most astonishing thing is, this is only $15. This has the module 593, and it has a staggering battery life of 7 years. It has an automatic calendar, day, date, daily alarm. It's water resistant, has an hourly signal, and its accuracy is plus or minus 30 seconds a month, which is, you know, basically almost a second a day, which is, I mean, what more can you want? Now, the great thing is, I actually bought one for my wife as well. This is hers, and it comes in a gold tone. She wears this when she wears yellow gold jewelry. She matches it with this. And when she wears silver or white gold, she'll wear either the Michael Kors or the Cartier tank that I bought her. The stopwatch on this is deadly accurate. You can time up to 59 hours, 59 minutes and 99 seconds. But let's put it on the wrist. what is great is this little clasp here. You pull it up and you can slide it and get a precise fit any position you want. And it's extremely light. We're talking about, I think, about 58 grams. Now, the dimensions are top to bottom, I think it's about 33. And then its height is only 9.5 millimeters. It wears incredibly well. It's probably one of the most comfortable watches I've ever worn. You don't even feel you have it on. And best thing is, you know, you don't have to worry about it for 7 years. The battery's 7 years and very, very cheap to replace. For me, being an 80s baby, it just reminds me of the 80s. It reminds me of, it has this kind of retro cool appeal. It's very fashionable, and strangely enough, it's a timeless design. Because of that minimal classic look, it's always going to be fashionable, and it's probably the best $15 I've ever spent. My wife loves hers, and I've got to say, I have a lot of fun wearing this. It just takes me back to my childhood, it really does. And you can't put a price on that, you really can't. Now, the last thing I like about this watch is, as you can see, you can actually remove the bracelet. It has little spring bars, and you can do what I did to my F91, and you fit it on an 18mm wide NATO strap. You can buy something really bright and colorful and really have fun changing out the strap. So that's a really cool thing to do, and I thought I'd just show you quickly my little F91. This is only $10. In fact, actually, the strap cost more than the watch, which is quite incredible. Lastly, it does have backlight, which is really cool. It's far too much light in here to really show you, because but that thing at night illuminates beautifully. So that is my last suggestion. 5 really cool options, but let's just move them to one side and just break it down a moment. So we have the Michael Kors here, which costs $275 retail. Add all these 5 watches together, it comes to a total of $195. $80 cheaper than the Michael Kors, and a hell of a lot more fun. And it just goes to show you can build a really cool collection with, you know, for the price of a fashion watch. And that is really the point I wanted to illustrate today. That you don't have to spend a lot of money to get fun, cool watches. And any of these watches are great as a first timepiece. Or if you're a collector and you want to add something a little bit different, a little bit more fun, and a bit of spice to your collection, what is better than some of these really cool, affordable timepieces? Anyway, guys, let's take it back to the studio. Okay, welcome back, guys. So I'd really like to hear your own suggestions. Guys, these are only my top 5. I would love to do 20, 30, but of course, you know, the videos would go on for hours and hours. I wouldn't mind doing that, but I do have a job to do. I've got to go and rush off to work in a moment. So before we get into the next part, a little quick unboxing, very special unboxing. I would really like to hear your suggestions for the best watches, in your opinion, under $50. Let's help as many people as we can out there watching this. So guys, if you're watching, also check out the comments. I'm very lucky to have one of the most knowledgeable and experienced audiences when it comes to wristwatches and horology in general. So guys, check out the comments for more suggestions, and please do share your favorite watches under $50. Without further ado, let's change perspectives again and have a quick unboxing of the smallest Seiko in existence. Okay, let's have a look. Before I start, just a little kind of disclaimer. If you hear Sicilians shouting at each other in the background, I do apologize. It's my neighbors. There's nothing I can do. So I do apologize. Anyway, let's continue. I have got, of course, my little Kershaw Leek, one of my favorite knives, the Ken Onion Leek. Fantastic little compact knife. Love it. So now, what is in this box? Well, it is from eBay, and in this box is the smallest Seiko watch in existence. That's right, the smallest Seiko watch in existence. So let's open her up. And there you have it. There's the box. Oh, and there it is. There it is. That is the little Seiko Giugiaro. Let's have a closer look. From Aliens. The Ripley. I told you it was the smallest Seiko, right? Fantastic. I had to get it, guys. I had to get it. You can get the Bishop too. I don't think the Bishop comes with the watch. Maybe it does. I don't know. I might actually have to get the Xenomorph. I know there's the Loader, the Queen Alien as well. Might have to get some the actual Alien model as well. Cool or what, huh? So there we have it. The smallest Seiko in existence. Quite interestingly enough, she's wearing it upside down. If we just bring in the real one, here's the real one. So you see the pushes are on that side. So she's wearing it that way up, which is a bit strange, but I'm chuffed to bits. I mean, I'm over the moon. I feel like a little spoilt child at Christmas. Love it. Anyway, that's my little unboxing of the smallest Seiko in the world. Let's take it back to the studio. I'm going to leave it there. Please don't forget to add your opinions, thoughts, queries, questions, all the rest of it down below. Follow me on Instagram. There's the Facebook group, of course. All the links to that is in the description. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.